In 1993, Steven Spielberg brought dinosaurs back to life. Using revolutionary computer imagery techniques as well as state-of-the-art animatronics, audiences were spellbound by these larger-than-life prehistoric animals.
It was fantastic. It was so scary.
It really was the most exciting film I've ever seen.
The thrills never stopped. It was amazing.
It's the best picture I've seen in about the last 10 years.
3 decades later, and this film is still being dissected and analyzed, whether that's through the lens of its disappointing sequels or its ironclad visual effects that seem to age better the older that they get. There is endless praise to be found over the writing and filmmaking of scenes like the Brachiosaurus reveal, the T-Rex breakout, or the raptors in the kitchen, mainly because they are the most tense, emotional, action-filled moments in the story. When I was a kid, these scenes are the reason that I watched the movie. But also when I was a kid, there was one scene that I just couldn't stand. Following the breathtaking Brachiosaurus, the sensitive and yet ominous hatching of the baby raptor, and the harrowing implications of the feeding frenzy, comes a scene not only with no dinosaurs, but no special effects at all. And it's the scene that elevates Jurassic Park from a great action movie to a classic.
More adventurous guests, of course, can opt for our jungle river cruise or for a...
This scene is really the first chance our characters get, after being presented with this life-changing discovery, to really sit with it and digest its implications. The first one eager to add their input is the lawyer. His immediate reaction is to jump on the capitalization of everything he's just bore witness to. More specifically, how much money they can extract from the guests based solely on the fact that
people will pay it.
Following up the lawyer is Ian Malcolm, whose objections are not only the focal point of this scene, but serve as one of the main themes for the entire film. This concern for Malcolm stems from the pompous attitude he observed of Dr. Wu during the hatching scene. Wu says things like,
"We control their chromosomes. It's really not that difficult."
You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No.
In a tone that kind of says to Malcolm that he's insulted that Malcolm would even imply that the scientists of Jurassic Park are not in control. After all, it's just human nature to believe that you have the ability to shape and control the world around you. It is during this lunch scene when Malcolm really lets his concerns be known to the group, and it's the first hint of trouble surrounding the park. Well, aside from the guy who got eaten in the beginning, but, you know, whatever. Malcolm, while he was only displaying some skepticism in the scene previously, is making his opinion as clear and as poignant as he can.
I'll tell you the problem with the scientific power that you're using here. It didn't require any discipline to attain it. You know, you read what others had done, and you took the next step. You didn't earn the knowledge for yourselves, so you don't take any responsibility.
It's this outspokenness that liberates Ellie and Alan, who have been more reserved about the problems they see in the park. This dynamic between the guests immediately challenging their hosts, rather than being excited about everything they've just experienced, creates an unnerving feeling in the audience. If these people are afraid, you probably should be too. The room they sit in is draped in darkness, with the only source of lighting being the projectors surrounding the table. Spielberg then positions the two characters that are most distracted by their hubris with the projector pointed directly behind their heads. They almost look divine, and all they can focus on in this moment is their own desire. The lawyer's desire to squeeze the park for every cent, and Hammond's desire to give his guests the most spectacular experience possible. But when the camera cuts to Malcolm giving his assessment that all might not be as simple as these two make it out to be, the light beside him beams directly into the camera. The light is incredibly bright, almost blinding, unwavering and unflinching. Like through Malcolm's words, he is holding up the brightest spotlight to all the problems Hammond, the lawyer, and the Jurassic Park scientists would rather keep in the shadows. It's only when Malcolm makes his final argument against Discovery when he is shown in the same light.
And not act.
Oh, what's so great about Discovery? It's a violent, penetrative act that scars what it explores, what you call discovery. I call the rape of the natural world.
This scene also has no music. Jurassic Park, a movie known for its multiple iconic scores. The silence really helps elevate the uncomfortability of the scene and of the information that Malcolm, Ellie, and Grant are presenting. The only background noise we are treated to is this constant switching of the projector slides. Every time a slide changes, it's like the ticking of a clock. Tick, tick, tick. All the way until disaster. The scene is also echoed by another scene that comes at the end of the movie. Ellie meets Hammond as he's surrounded himself with melting ice cream. He's blessed in this golden light while Ellie sits isolated in darkness. It's here when Hammond finally has to face the music. Even in his conversation with Ellie, he continues to talk about how next time it will be better. How, oh, of course, we were simply over-dependent on automation. Surrounded by the vibrant merchandise, he's the last one to accept the reality of the situation. He's still holding on to his fantasy land, and it's shown visually in his futile attempt to finish these massive tubs of ice cream, as they, and his dream, melt around him. All of the problems Malcolm introduced during the lunch are finally, reluctantly, accepted by Hammond in this moment.
Next time it'll be flawless.
It's still the flea circus. It's all an illusion.
When we have control again.
You never had control. That's the illusion.
They never had control. It had all been an illusion of control. A projection of control. Not only in the lunch scene are they surrounded by literal projectors at the height of Hammond's ignorance, but have you ever noticed what they're actually eating?
Alejandro's prepared a delightful menu for us. Chilean Sea Bass, I believe.
Quick history of the Chilean sea bass. Back in 1977, a fish seller by the name of Lee Lance was bringing over Patagonian toothfish, an ugly-looking fish with not that appetizing of a name. So, in order to make it more appealing to US markets, he decided to change the name to Chilean sea bass. This is actually significant for two reasons. One, because that's exactly what Jurassic Park did with the Velociraptor. They wanted a large raptor like the Deinonychus, but thought the Velociraptor sounded like a better name, so they just changed the name. And it worked. Now nobody knows that Velociraptors were actually closer to the size of large chickens. But more importantly, Lance was selling an illusion, one that he had created himself, much like we see Hammond do in both of these scenes. The lunch scene may not have a T-Rex or Velociraptors or anything at all that could be considered particularly thrilling, but it is the heart of the movie. These small details, whether that be thematically, the cinematography, or the writing, that make this scene so well done. On the surface, it acts as a subtle word of warning to the audience that things could get real bad real quickly. The discourse surrounding the ethics of the island is the most important conversation had in the whole movie. It is through this scene that Steven Spielberg masterfully incorporates the depth and dimensions of the themes of the book into his movie in a simple 4-minute scene. That is why the lunch scene is the most important scene in Jurassic Park.